Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudirayet Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana-salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna devotees. I welcome you to today's Srimad Bhagavatam for All session. Today is July 11th, 2026, and it is the 536th session. And we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 10, the Deliverance of Yamala-arjuna trees, and text 16. We have to begin reading text 16. So I changed the style a little bit in the past 2-3 sessions. Usually what I do is I give a recap of what we discussed previously, and then I start reading the verse for the day. And I have noticed that it takes anywhere between 15 minutes to 30 minutes, sometimes I guess even 40-45 minutes, just in giving a recap, and then we start the next day's verse. So what I've been doing is I start reading the verse, and then if need be, then I go back and explain a little bit. That's what I've been doing. Is that okay? So what I've been doing now is good. Okay, start with the new verse, and then we will discuss whatever is needed. Okay, fine. Let's do it like that. So today's verse is text 16. We'll read the verse. Nityaṁ kṣut-kṣāma-dehasya daridrasyānna-kāṅkṣiṇaḥ indriyāṇy anuśuṣyanti hiṁsāpi vinivartate. Nityaṁ kṣut-kṣāma-dehasya daridrasyānna-kāṅkṣiṇaḥ indriyāṇy anuśuṣyanti hiṁsāpi vinivartate. Nityaṁ kṣut-kṣāma-dehasya daridrasyānna-kāṅkṣiṇaḥ indriyāṇy anuśuṣyanti hiṁsāpi vinivartate. So quickly we'll go over the word to word so you know what the verse is saying. Nityam means always, kṣut means hunger, kṣāma means weak, not having enough strength. So we are talking about this daridra, that means a poverty-stricken person. he's always hungry. And because of not getting enough food, his body doesn't have sufficient strength. Kṣāma-dehasya, of his body. Poor man's body doesn't have sufficient strength because of being hunger most of the time. Nityaṁ, why most of the time? All the time. Nityaṁ, he's always hungry, and because of that, his body is not strong enough. Nityaṁ kṣut-kṣāma-dehasya. Daridrasyānna-kāṅkṣiṇaḥ. So this daridra, that means a poverty-stricken person, anna-kāṅkṣiṇaḥ. He's always desiring to get sufficient food. He's hungry, but he has no food. So he's hoping, he's desiring to get sufficient food. Daridrasya anna-kāṅkṣiṇaḥ. So that means he's desiring. So even though he's desiring anna-kāṅkṣiṇaḥ, indriyāṇy anuśuṣyanti. But he's desiring, but the fact is he's not getting. A poverty-stricken man, so he's hungry. So even though the desires are there, he cannot fulfill those desires. So because of that, because he's not getting, it's forced. It's not like he's controlling his mind or anything. I have to tell you something. Well, when we discuss it, I'll explain it to you. Just remind me in case I forget. There is a link, there is a connection between controlling the mind, your life air, and the food that you eat. That means your senses. Controlling your senses, controlling your mind, food, and the life airs. Okay? Controlling the mind, life airs, senses. Okay? And then the food that you eat. They're all linked. They're all connected. So let us read first. Or maybe I'll just explain first because I'll forget otherwise. So daridrasya anna-kāṅkṣiṇaḥ. Poor man, he's always desiring food. Indriyāṇy anuśuṣyanti. His senses are, how do you say? They're controlled, anuśuṣyanti. Anuśuṣyanti means they are suppressed, right? They're weak. Yeah. Anuśuṣyanti. Why? Because of not getting enough food. When there is not enough food, the senses become controlled. That's the link from yesterday's verse. Austerities. It is forced austerity. For a poverty-stricken man, this is forced austerity. Indriyāṇy anuśuṣyanti, hiṁsāpi vinivartate. So, if the senses are suppressed, right? They are not, they're controlled basically. Senses are suppressed. They become weak. So, if the senses are strong, what happens? They are demanding. I want this, I want that. Your senses are demanding. I want to eat, I want to hear, I want to see, I want to touch, I want to smell. And then you work for that to fulfill those desires. The senses are strong and powerful. And then, so when the senses are strong, then they will grab the sense objects, and because they are strong, they will enjoy, right? The senses will enjoy. So let me tell you the link between the food that you eat. If you eat food, the life air, prana, the airs in your body, the prana vayu, that means all life air, the airs, there are 10 different types of airs, and then there is one of them is prana vayu, the life air. It is moving inside your body. It moves with a good, velocity, like it will move nicely with sufficient forcefully. It'll be moving nicely, with strength when you eat food. This is the link between food and life air. What is the example? Recently, we had Pandav Nirjala Ekadasi. I hope you have observed it, unless you have some health issues. So what happens on Pandav Nirjala Ekadasi when you are fasting even from water? By the time, especially when you come towards the end of the day, it's like you just become, your body becomes, how do you say? There's no, that agitation won't be there. That, like I have to do this and I have to do that and I want to watch this or I want to, listen to this, or, you just become like, and when you're chanting, it doesn't become like Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Why? Because your life air is not getting sufficient strength to move nicely through the body. It moves very gently when there is no food, no water even. बहुत धीमी गति से चलती है. Life air moves very, very slowly. And what to speak of one day, when you don't eat, second day also, sometimes people don't eat for several days. This is called, it can also be, sometimes they go on these hunger strikes, right? For 3 days, 5 days, 10 days. That's not right. Whatever is prescribed in Shastra, that much, yes, we should do. But not whimsically. Whimsically giving pain to this body unnecessarily, that's not right. Austerities which are recommended in Shastra, you follow. Very good. Every Ekadasi, if you want to do Nirjala Ekadasi, very good. No problem with that. But for 10 days at a time, I will just not eat anything because of whatever other reasons, some material reasons. That's not right. That's not devotion. That's not devotion. But it happens sometimes, either because of poverty or because of some other reason. People don't eat for several days, and if they don't even drink, what will happen? First, your life air moves very slowly, and the link between your prana and your senses. You see, your senses get strength from prana. When the prana is moving nicely, the senses are active. The senses are active. But if the prana becomes very, it's not moving, your airs are not moving, then the senses are also becoming weak. Means what? Eyes are not able to see properly. Ears are not able to hear properly. Like that. Senses also become weak. So when the senses become weak, what will happen? Senses are the ones that are demanding, isn't it? So then the mind is also controlled. When the senses become weak, then the mind also becomes controlled. Senses are not demanding now because they became weak. They're not demanding. I want to, like I want a cigarette. I want to smoke a cigarette, or I want to, go to that pub, or, that won't happen because the senses are weak. Another example, when you are sick, maybe you have a fever, and you're very sick. At that time, your senses will not demand, I want this and I want to enjoy this way, that way. No, at that time, because no food, right? And then the senses also become very weak, then the mind is also not very active about wanting this and that. So what do you see? If you want to make progress in spiritual life, your senses and your mind should be controlled. Shama and Dhamma. Shama and Dhamma. Shama means mind control and sense control. This is essential. So those who are, like we were reading in yesterday's verse, austerity is good for everyone, because by doing austerity, one becomes free from material conditions. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport. By observing austerities, compulsory austerities, one becomes free from material conditions. So, if you want to transcend, what is the idea of transcend spiritual life? Whether it is Jnana Marga or Yoga or Bhakti, the idea is you want to transcend the modes and you want to attain the absolute truth. That's the path. So, for you to transcend the path, controlling mind and senses is essential. It's essential. Even in bhakti, once you come to Shuddha Bhakti, then there is no question of even trying to control your mind and senses, because you got faith. Then you don't have to separately endeavor. But we are struggling to come to the point of full surrender and fully engaging in devotional service. So certainly you can take help. What about these, what do you think are the 4 regulative principles? No meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, no illicit sex. What is this? This is compulsory austerity. This is sense control. You need to do it. It is essential. Even on the path of bhakti, you have to observe sense control. No onions and no garlic. No tea and coffee. Sense control. Essential. We have to do that. Why? Because when you control your senses, then the mind is controlled. And the main point is, by this austerity, one becomes free from material conditions. Okay. Now, the point being said here is to make for liberation, we can say. Okay. Whether you take any of the spiritual paths, commonly we'll say liberation. Whether it's in Jnana path or in yoga or bhakti, liberation, for the sake of liberation. That means achieving the absolute truth, attaining the absolute truth. What do we need? Mind and sense control. How you will get that? In Ashtanga Yoga, what do you do? Yama, niyama, right? Do's and don'ts. Again, they're like, you restrict your sense gratification until you give it up altogether. That's the idea. What do you do in Jnana Marga? Nishkama Karma Yoga. Nishkama Karma Yoga means you're doing work, but without attachment to the result. Why do we want result? Dharma you do for artha. Result means artha. What do you want to do with that artha? Kama, sense gratification. But in Nishkama Karma Yoga, without any attachment, you have to do work. So if you don't even accept artha, then where is the question of kama? So there also, sense gratification through Nishkama Karma Yoga, you're controlling sense gratification. And in Bhakti also the same thing. You have rules, right? 4 regulative principles. Stay away from sinful activity, and also that is sense control. And offer the result to Krishna and accept only Krishna's prasadam. Actually, in Bhakti, sense gratification is allowed, but it is done through Krishna. Through Krishna. But there also, as you advance, when you come to pure devotional service, The attachment is more not to the food itself, but the attachment is, this is Krishna's prasadam. So there the attachment is to Krishna. This is Krishna's prasadam. Then it does not matter which prasadam it is, because you're attached to Krishna's prasadam. So my point is, sense control is essential in any spiritual path. We cannot say that we will be enjoying materially and also we will be progressing spiritually. It doesn't work like that. We have to give up sense gratification. We cannot. Now you will give examples of kings like, big, like who live in opulence, and you have to look at their consciousness. They don't consider any of it theirs. Then how will they enjoy anything? They see everything as Krishna's, and they see themselves as servants of Krishna. So even though they are in a big palace and on a, sitting on the throne, ruling a big kingdom with so many people and so much treasury and everything, and apparently they're wearing royal clothes and jewelry and everything, there is no sense of enjoying all that. Everything is done in the mood of service to Krishna. So to be able to do that, one should be Krishna conscious. Otherwise, it's not possible. Krishna conscious means what? You see Krishna in everything. Not for a moment are you not seeing Krishna. Conceptually, at least conceptually, you understand. You see Krishna. You don't see the creation. You see the creator. Everything, at every moment, you see everything in relation to Krishna. Anything which is happening, you see Krishna's hand behind it. That is Krishna consciousness. So such a person, externally, even if he has all these things, he's not actually enjoying. Even if he's enjoying, that enjoyment is like when you please Krishna, when Krishna is pleased, you become pleased, like that. Not separate from Krishna. He is not enjoying separately. He is trying to give all enjoyment to Krishna. And when Krishna becomes pleased, the devotee becomes pleased, like that. So coming back to our verse here, we didn't read the translation also yet. We are trying to understand the verse. Nityaṁ kṣut-kṣāma-dehasya daridrasyānna-kāṅkṣiṇaḥ. So this one I was trying to tell you. Indriyāṇy anuśuṣyanti. His senses are suppressed. That means his senses are weak. They are weakened. Hiṁsāpi vinivartate. So then if the senses are weak, so this is the connection I was trying to explain to you. If the senses become weak, then there is no question of the senses demanding, I want this and I want that. Because they became weak. You see, one example I gave you is of fasting, Nirjala Ekadasi. The other example is of when you fall sick. The senses become weak at that time. Then when the senses are weak, that urge, that vegam, vacho vegam, manasah vegam, udara upastha vegam, jihva vegam, these vegas will not be there. That means these urges, right? The urge of the tongue to eat something, to taste something, to speak something, those urges will become very, very, not getting the right word. Like, ekdam dhimi pad jata hai sab. It's like, it cannot, they become weak basically. Yeah, they are weakened so much that the urge is not there now. Okay? The urges of the senses are not there. When you don't get enough food, your body becomes weak. What does that mean? The pranavayu is moving very slowly. Then the senses are also weakened. When the senses are weakened, the mind is controlled. Because the senses are not demanding now. The senses are not demanding. This is a very good position. So if the senses are not demanding, why does one work hard? Because his senses are demanding. I want this and I want that. I want a better facility, right? Then for that better facility, I need more money. Then for more money, I need to work more. You see? So it is these senses, uncontrolled senses, which are driving the person to do different things. And what to speak of work more, you can even act enviously towards other living entities, or even kill them, or do all sorts of sinful activities. Why? Simply to satisfy your uncontrolled senses. That is what is driving people towards envious activities towards other living entities. But if the senses are not, if the senses are controlled, if the senses are controlled, they are not demanding, then will he perform envious activities towards other living entities? No, because what is the drive to do all these sinful activities? The drive is the senses. I mean, this example also, this is, I'm giving the example of a typical materialist, okay? So if you don't fall in that category, you don't take any offense. This is for a typical materialist. Grihamedi. A woman, a wife, husband and wife. A woman has so many, aspirations. I want a big house, and I want so much jewelry, and I want this and that, I want to have parties and so many things. Now, the man wants to satisfy the woman's desires. Why? Because he gets his sense pleasure from her. She will cook for him, feed nice foods. She will keep the house nice, well organized. If she's happy, then she'll keep the house nice. And also he'll get sex pleasure from her. Especially, mainly it is a sex pleasure. So then whatever she demands he will work. He will work like a, what do you say? Like a donkey. So that he will earn enough to satisfy her demands, all the things that she wants, so that she will be happy and she'll make him happy. She will satisfy his senses. Also, it is said, if a man is not responsible, like a youth, unmarried yet, then in families they say, get him married. Once he gets married, he will become responsible. He will work. Before marriage, he may have been very lazy. He doesn't like to work. He won't take up any job. But once he gets married, his wife will make him work. He will work now. So the point is, what is driving you to work? To do, and then work also, you can now, if you're not able to get enough with your abilities, then you will take to sinful activities, illegal activities where you can make more money quickly, or you don't have qualification to get a very big job or do some business where you can earn lots of money, then you look for shortcuts, sinful ways to earn money. Why? To satisfy the senses. You see? So this whole game of sinful activities and committing violence to other living entities, being envious of other living entities, where is it coming from? uncontrolled senses. You want to satisfy for sense gratification, you'll do all sorts of things. But if the senses are controlled, then where is the question of performing these sinful activities? Senses are not demanding because they are kept at bay. They are kept, under control. Then why will you do all those activities? There's no need, isn't it? So the senses have to be kept under control. But for a poor man, it happens automatically. Even if he has some desires in his mind, everyone may have desires, everyone will have desires. But if he has no means to fulfill those desires, he also wants to go to the restaurant and eat and this and that, but he knows he cannot afford it. He cannot even afford one meal at home. What to speak of eating all those, fancy foods, rich foods? He cannot afford it. So what will a poor man do? It is said, nityaṁ kṣut-kṣāma-dehasya. Always he's hungry. There's no food. And because of being hungry all the time, his body becomes weak. Now, such a person, even though he has desires to, what is he desiring? He's desiring some food so that he doesn't have to go hungry. But he doesn't get enough food. So remember Ekadasi fasting, like Nirjala Ekadasi fasting. What will happen when there's no food? Body becomes weak, weak, weak. Senses are also controlled. So for him, what a transcendentalist does as a sadhana, a transcendentalist willingly, he will take up austerity, he will not eat, he will eat. You remember Dhruva Maharaj's austerities? First month, he was eating, I think he was eating fruits. The second month, he just ate fallen dry leaves every third day. Every third day. The third month, he stopped eating dried leaves also. He was drinking water every ninth day. And the fourth month, he stopped drinking water. He was breathing every 12th day. He would just inhale once after 12 days and then finished. No more breathing. And in this way, in a very short time, in a matter of 5 to 6 months, he perfected his Ashtanga Yoga process, and the goal was he wanted to get the audience of the Supreme Lord. And he got that. The Lord appeared. So, transcendentalists willingly, as a part of their sadhana, they cut down on eating, on all types of sense gratification. For clothing, they just wear a tree bark in the forest. They don't live in homes just under trees or in caves. Voluntarily, they are accepting poverty. This is to be noted. Why? To make progress in spiritual life, to get that ultimate liberation. I'm using the term liberation as a common term for all different types of transcendental practices. Jnana, yoga, bhakti. Whereas a poor man, he's forced to remain hungry, and by that his senses are controlled, and by that he's not engaging in any sinful activities. That is why the previous verse says this is his param tapasya. Param tapasya, why? Because this tapasya is supposed to lead one to param gati, realizing the absolute truth. Austerities are required to progress in spiritual life. But a poverty-stricken man automatically, without separate endeavor, he is getting that, like that type of tapasya. That means he will be making, at least he will come to the mode of goodness. By this austerity, he will come to the mode of goodness. And you know, the advantage of the mode of goodness is you are receptive to sadhus. A person who is in the mode of goodness, he will be receptive to sadhus. He will, because he'll see things as they are. We also hear that sadhus very easily go to poor people's homes, but they cannot enter into rich people's homes because they have a security guard, they have dogs and so on and so forth. You have to take an appointment. It's difficult to reach a wealthy person. But poor people, they welcome sadhus in their homes. So being poor is actually an advantage if you want to make spiritual progress. Like we read in yesterday's purport, willingly sadhus, they take to poverty. Whether you talk about vanaprastha or sannyas or brahmachari, even grihasthas, if they want to make spiritual progress, simple living. So now we'll read. Nityaṁ kṣut-kṣāma-dehasya daridrasyānna-kāṅkṣiṇaḥ. Anna-kāṅkṣiṇaḥ. He's desiring to get some food. He's so hungry. Then indriyāṇy anuśuṣyanti. Indriya एकदम controlled हो जाते हैं. Hiṁsāpi vinivartate. Then his tendency to be violent to other living entities, that will also reduce. The tendency to hurt others, to harm others. Why does one do that? To satisfy his uncontrolled senses. Here the senses are so weak. So then his tendency to be harmful to others is also reduced. Translation: always hungry, longing for sufficient food, a poverty-stricken man gradually becomes weaker and weaker. Having no extra potency, his senses are automatically pacified. A poverty-stricken man, therefore, is unable to perform harmful, envious activities. In other words, such a man automatically gains the results of the austerities and penances adopted voluntarily by saintly persons. This is to be noted. So by being poor, he's automatically gaining the results of the austerities and penances adopted voluntarily by saintly persons. Now you tell me, by doing austerities alone, can one get the absolute truth? Can one reach the absolute truth by doing austerities and penances alone?
With bhakti, we can do overcome Mataji.
Mataji, tell again.
With bhakti, we do.
Yes. So the thing is, simply by doing austerities, you cannot get. There has to be some bhakti. Even in jnana, the ultimate goal is you want Brahma Prapti, realizing Brahman and going and merging into Brahman. You cannot get that result only by doing jnana sadhanas. Within jnana sadhanas, there is bhakti involved. Without bhakti, you don't get. So that should be noted. But if you did only austerities, what is the result of austerity? It brings you to the mode of goodness. That you will get. That you will get. Saintly persons also, they observe austerities because that pacifies their senses. It just makes their senses calm. They are not disturbing them. So that now they can peacefully focus on achieving their goal. Their goal is the supreme absolute truth. Either their meditation on Brahman or Bhagavan or Paramatma, whatever it is. So the senses have to become, they should be made calm. These senses are compared to serpents, poisonous serpents. But when you control the senses, then it's like their poisonous fangs are broken. Now you have no fear of those serpents. Once their poisonous fangs are removed, there's no fear. Like that, the senses which are controlled, they are like poisonous serpents whose poisonous teeth are removed. So now we don't have to fear them like that. So for that, to control those senses, they perform austerities and penances. That result you will get. A poor man, because he does not have food, his senses are controlled. And by controlling the senses, he will come to the mode of goodness. He'll come to the mode of goodness and his senses will not disturb him. That means it's a fertile ground now. All he needs is, when you have a fertile soil, what do you need? You need a viable seed, right? Once you plant a viable seed, if the soil is fertile, it will nicely come up. It will germinate and the seedling will come and it will grow nicely. So being in the mode of goodness is like a fertile soil. Now, what do you need? If you simply have fertile soil, is it enough for the plants to come? You need a seed. That seed will come from a devotee only. That seed has to come from a devotee or a sadhu. Whichever type of sadhu gives you the seed, that type of plant you will get. You get a mango seed, you'll get a mango plant. If you get a guava seed, you'll get a guava tree. Like that. But the seed has to be there. But if you get a seed and if the soil is not fertile, then it's rocky. Then the seed, even if the seed is viable, it doesn't have the proper atmosphere to grow. So absolutely you need the seed. But if you have a nice fertile soil, then it will help the seed to grow properly. You need both. So here, poverty is doing what? It is preparing a fertile soil. Because poverty means austerities. So when transcendentalists, they take up austerities, austerities are like making the soil fertile. But if your goal is to realize the absolute truth, for that, what do you need? You need the association of a sadhu, mercy of a sadhu. That seed you have to get. Then in that fertile soil, it will grow nicely. Guru is essential in any path. Even in Jnana Marga, we will see Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. That is talking about a jnani sadhu. You have to take shelter of a jnani sadhu, a guru, a jnani guru. That is essential. So the point here is what the transcendentalists are working for to create that fertile soil or the favorable. What is that fertile soil? Your senses are under control. Basically, that's what it means. Your mind and senses, they're controlled. For a poor man, it happens automatically because he doesn't have the means. That austerity is automatic. I'll read one more time. Always hungry, longing for sufficient food, a poverty-stricken man gradually becomes weaker and weaker. Having no extra potency, his senses are automatically pacified. A poverty-stricken man, therefore, is unable to perform harmful, envious activities. In other words, such a man automatically gains the results of the austerities and penances adopted voluntarily by saintly persons. So the point that I was trying to make here is, not that simply by being poor you will achieve Brahman or you will achieve Paramatma. Like a saintly person gets his result of achieving, he gets Ashtanga Yogi, he'll go to Samadhi. And Jnani, he will get Brahma Prapti. Shuddha Bhakta, he'll get Prema. So saintly person's results a poor man is getting automatically means he'll get those things. He'll get Brahma Prapti. He'll get Bhagavad Prapti. No, no, not like that. But even saintly persons, what do they get by austerities and penances? They come to mode of goodness. They come to mode of goodness. By these austerities and penances, they come to mode of goodness. Or they increase their mode of goodness. That's there also. In Nishkam Karma Yoga, you come to mode of goodness by Nishkam Karma Yoga. And after that, the Jnana sadhanas that they are practicing. Jnana sadhanas means these austerities, different types of austerities. Amanitvam, adambitvam, ahimsa. All these austerities that they're doing, what is that doing? It is increasing the mode of goodness. So what do austerities do? Austerities put you in goodness. They will increase your goodness. And that goodness is helpful in understanding the absolute truth, in whichever path you may be. In Jnana Marga also, one hears of the Upanishads. One hears from the Upanishads from his Guru, Tattvadarshi Guru, he will be hearing. But whatever he hears, how is he able to understand and grasp and realize? By parallelly observing these austerities. Because these austerities will increase his mode of goodness. That goodness is allowing him to realize, to understand whatever is said in Upanishads. So austerities will help you to come to the mode of goodness. So for us as devotees, what do austerities do? So it helps you come to the mode of goodness. When you are in the mode of goodness, so austerities in and themselves will not help you realize Krishna. But austerities will bring you to the mode of goodness. When you are in the mode of goodness, and now you hear Bhagavad Gita, you hear Bhagavatam, now you will get the message as it is. Because that is the quality of the mode of goodness. Mode of goodness means it is light. It shows you things as they are. You are able to see things as they are. So when you hear from Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, you'll get the right message. You will not get clouded message or some other message. You won't say that Bhagavad Gita is teaching us that, you won't give conclusions of Mayavad philosophy by hearing Bhagavad Gita. Or you won't derive lessons of materialism from Bhagavad Gita. How to perform well in school by studying Bhagavad Gita. How to make your business successful by studying Bhagavad Gita. How to become successful in your profession, be number one by studying Bhagavad Gita. You won't derive these conclusions. Who derives such conclusions? One who is not in the mode of goodness, he will derive such conclusions from Shastra. He is in the modes of passion and ignorance. Bhagavad Gita, all Shastras actually, all Vedas, the conclusion is Shuddha Bhakti, should surrender to Krishna. That is the purpose of all Shastras. That is the message that they are giving. But different people are deriving different conclusions. Why? Depending on the modes in which they are. If they are in the mode of goodness, then they derive one conclusion, right? Actually, mode of goodness means you will also Shastra. Simply by studying Shastra, you won't understand. That is also there. You don't understand Shastra. Acha, Mataji has a question. But my point is, Shastra you won't understand by studying. You have to hear. You have to hear. And hearing also, you can hear from a Jnani, you can hear from a Yogi, you can hear from a Karmi, you can hear from a Karma Yogi, or you can hear from a Bhakta. Mixed Bhakta you can hear, Pradhani Bhuta Bhakta, you can hear from Shuddha Bhakta. Who has the complete knowledge? Shuddha Bhakta has. Now, who you are hearing from, that's the message you will get, firstly. And that also, if you are in the mode of goodness, you will get the message exactly as it is given. If you are not in the mode of goodness, you will not grasp what is said to you. So both conditions, your being in goodness is required, and also your hearing from the right source is also important, equally important. Both are important. But Your being in mode of goodness, that is what is within your hand. You can come to mode of goodness, isn't it? By making the right choices, for example, performing austerities, etc. You can come to the mode of goodness. And then if you hear from the right person, you'll get the message right away and your Drida Shraddha will be formed. So I'm telling you how austerities will help one come to mode of goodness, and mode of goodness helps one to progress in spiritual life, whether it is in Jnana Marga, Yoga or Bhakti. Now I'll look at Mataji's question. Priyanka Haripriya Mataji is asking, but poor man doesn't have means, so austerity could be external only. Internally, he may have desires that he wants to satisfy once he gets money. Yes, that is said here in this verse. You see, the shloka is saying, daridrasyānna-kāṅkṣiṇaḥ. His desire is he wants. He wants. It's not that he does not want. He wants. But what is happening? First is he doesn't have food. And because of not having food, his body is weak. And he's always thinking, I wish I could get some food. I could get nice house. I could have this and I could have that. Meanwhile, because this is nityaṁ, all the time he is like this in this condition, hunger. So what is happening is in the process of that, over a period of time when he remains hungry like that, his senses are all becoming weak. That means now the senses are also not going to demand anymore. The senses are not demanding anymore. So he will come to that state. If he is always hungry. Imagine one day we are hungry and we become so sober. Somebody who is always hungry, not getting, how he should be. Don't go by what they show in movies. You have to see in real life. People who have been hungry all the time, their body is emaciated. They'll be like, because the senses are controlled by that. Senses become weak. When the senses become weak, the mind also does not demand. This is actually a link. This is a link. So you're right. Initially, yes, he's desiring, I wish I can get more food. I wish. But after a prolonged time, when it goes on and on like that, the senses are all becoming weak now. So you may say, what happens when he gets wealth? Yeah. So if he gets wealth, then he may become, but this was also said. He has already experienced poverty now. He has already experienced poverty. He has experienced the pain of poverty, the pain of hunger. And at some point, he gets wealth. Now he remembers because he's gone through that pain. He has that experience of pain. Now, even after he gets that wealth, now he will look at other poor people who are suffering. And then he will think, they should not undergo the pain that I underwent. So he will try to do some social welfare activities, feeding the poor or free meals in schools, or, free education for children, things like that, free hospital, free medical services. He will try to do that. Because if he will come to mode of goodness if he's hungry all the time and he has gone through that poverty. Then that's what Srila Prabhupada says in the previous purport. He says that he will try to do something good. If a poor man, somehow or other, if he gets wealth. So that means, obviously, who has actually suffered poverty, he's been like that prolonged time, he's been poor. His senses are now, weakened by that poverty. He becomes sober. He becomes sober. And also from the past few verses we saw, also he can relate. He will compare with his own situation. When someone is in that situation, he can relate to the pains of this world. Basically, he's able to see things as they are. The miseries of life, birth, death, old age, disease, he's able to see in front of him all the time. He's able to actually see things as they are. Of course, Srila Prabhupada gives there that point. You cannot remove the mercy factor, the intervention of a devotee here. Spiritual inclination cannot come simply by suffering. Simply by suffering, poverty, or whatever, spiritual inclination cannot come. You may do some social service. You see other people suffering, so I will help other poor people. I will give them food and all that. But turning towards absolute truth, because of suffering, it won't happen. That will happen only when there is a sadhu who deliberately gives mercy to you. Then only you will turn to absolute truth. Suffering itself will not make one person spiritual. That also has to be noted. That also has to be noted. But it will make you sober. You will be able to relate to others' sufferings. How? By comparing with yourself. You know, the way I am suffering, that mouse also will be suffering. Pain is the same. Or other human beings, pain is the same. So he will become a social worker like that. Yeah. So now let's read the purport. According to the opinion of experienced medical practitioners, diabetes is a result of voracious eating. So those who, that's also interesting. Well, I guess after you start taking treatment, then you become very emaciated and skinny, isn't it? Diabetes, those who are suffering from diabetes and then they start taking treatment, you see, usually they become very skinny. But the cause for that diabetes is voracious eating. Voracious eating. According to the opinion of experienced medical practitioners, diabetes is a result of voracious eating, and tuberculosis is a disease of undereating. Tuberculosis is a disease of undereating. Diabetes is a disease of voracious eating. We should desire neither to be diabetic nor to be tubercular. You should not desire. So, unnecessarily starving your body and becoming emaciated, that is also not correct. That's also not correct. You should desire neither to be diabetic nor to be tubercular. You do austerities which are prescribed in the Shastra given to you by the Acharya in the disciplic succession. That much austerity you can do without any fears. Don't worry, you won't die by fasting. All you need is that faith. With that faith will come determination. And when you have faith, then there is protection also. Take the step forward depending on Krishna. So we should desire neither to be diabetic nor to be tubercular. Yavad artha prayojanam. We should eat frugally and keep the body fit for advancing in Krishna consciousness. See, eat frugally is said. Frugal means what? Frugal means limited. In Telugu you say podupu. हिंदी में क्या बोलते हैं? एकदम मतलब on the lower side, right? Literally, that's what it means. Frugal means at the lower end. For example, if you will be completely full by eating 5 chapatis, you'll eat 4 chapatis. Maybe 3. Like that. That means frugal. जितना जरूरी है उससे थोड़ा कम ही ले लीजिए. That's frugal. Srila Prabhupada also says in one lecture, better to eat less than to eat more. So here Srila Prabhupada said we should desire neither to be diabetic nor tubercular. That means don't eat voraciously and don't undereat also. But of the two, if you have to make a choice, he says better to eat less than to eat more. That's what is frugally eating. Because again, what is the connection? Austerity. When there is austerity, senses are controlled. When the senses are controlled, you are able to progress in spiritual life. That's the point. So we should eat frugally and keep the body fit. So you should also keep the body fit for advancing in Krishna consciousness. Now, what do you mean by keeping the body fit? Keeping the body fit means you should be able to practice your Krishna consciousness. You should be able to rise in the morning. You should be able to chant your japa. And whatever services you're doing, deity worship, if you're engaged in deity worship, or whatever else services that you're doing, even karma yoga, right? You're doing some karma. For that also you need strength, physical strength to do your karma, whatever karma you're doing. So eat whatever you need to keep yourself fit. We should eat frugally and keep the body fit for advancing in Krishna consciousness, as recommended elsewhere in Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 2nd chapter, text 10. Famous. Kamasya nendriya pritir labho jiveta yavata jivasya tattva jignasa nartho yascheha karma bhihi. Kama. Kama means we say sense gratification. But literally, kama means providing sense objects to the senses. Sense gratification, you say, but generally, when you say sense gratification means you think enjoyment, isn't it? Gratification. So here kama means providing sense objects to the senses. So what is the sense object you provide to your mouth? Rice, dal, sabji, roti. Okay? You're providing, okay, puri, pakoda, gulab jamun, pizza, ice cream. Okay, you're providing that also. So you're providing sense objects to the senses. This is kama. Now, kama kiske liye hona chahiye? Na indriya priti. You're providing of sense objects to the senses should not be for the sake of indriya priti. Now, we use only one word, sense gratification, for kama and for indriya priti. How you will understand then? So, indriya priti means सेंसेस के लिए बहुत अच्छा लगना, सेंस ग्रेटिफिकेशन. सो इंद्रिय प्रीति विल बी सेंस ग्रेटिफिकेशन. ओके, इंद्रिय प्रीति विल बी सेंस ग्रेटिफिकेशन. सो द पर्पस ऑफ सप्लाइंग सेंस ऑब्जेक्ट्स टू द सेंसेस इज नॉट सेंस एंजॉयमेंट. इट इज नॉट टू प्लीज योर सेंसेस. कामस्य न इंद्रिय प्रीति. Whatever kama you're doing, kama means supplying sense objects to the senses. That should not be for the sake of sense enjoyment. Then why you should supply sense objects to the senses? Labho jiveta yavata. जीने के लिए जितना जरूरी है उतना देना चाहिए इंद्रियों को. Whatever you need to live, whatever sense objects you need to live, that much you provide to your senses. So not just your mouth, everything else also. Srila Prabhupada also says, yeah, you need, depending on our level of advancement, for living you need, you need eating, you need sleeping. Srila Prabhupada says you need sex life also, mating, defense. Okay, you can take but only as much as it is needed for you to live. Take only that much, or supply only that much to the senses as much as it is needed for you to live. Labho जीवेत yavata. जीने के लिए जितना चाहिए उतना ही. And even that is simplified. What do you mean by जीने के लिए? Living means to keep the body and soul together. So over and above that, whatever we are taking is for sense gratification. So now you know what is the standard. So we can just keep trying. According to our advancement, we should minimize. Up to what point you should minimize your sense gratification? To the point of accepting only that much as required to keep your body and soul together. This is the standard. The beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto. Kamasya na indriya pritir labho jiveta yavata. And then you'll ask, then this is another thing. ऐसा जीने का मतलब क्या है? What is the purpose of such living? Starving, not enjoying life. You've been given this body, you have eyes, you have tongue, you have, ears, you have this body, you should enjoy. Body is meant for enjoyment. You have this life for enjoyment. Now you're young. Young means it's meant for enjoyment. This is what you will hear. Why are we living then? If we have to live like this, starving, what's the meaning of this life? Why should we live? What is the purpose of living? Jivasya tattva jignasa. Life is meant for inquiring about the absolute truth. Now, if we just look at our lives, just individually, not even as a family, just individually, if I look at myself, am I living according to this standard? Life is meant for tattva jigyasa, jivasya tattva jigyasa. And then, how you should live? By taking only as much as it is needed to live. That's all. Living means keeping soul and body together. That means if you didn't eat that much, your soul will leave your body. It cannot stand. सबसे minimum basic जो है वो दिया गया है. Because if you don't set high standards, people won't even try for it. That's what we were discussing yesterday also. If you tell people it's okay, you don't have to do austerity, it is fine, this is not required, and I do too, Mataji, all the time actually. But truth is truth. Truth has to be spoken, and many times for myself also. When I'm speaking, it's like I hear also. So yes, but because I'm doing it, that's not an excuse. Because I'm doing it now, I will justify what I'm doing and I will say that. No. But of course, it is also said, achar and prachar. First you follow and then you preach. So that way, yes, I am, I'm a culprit that way. Achar nahi ho raha hai, prachar ho raha hai. But at least we will hear from Shastra. And yes. Jivasya tattva jigyasa. But the point is, the standard is set. So when you know this is the standard, you'll keep trying for it. Now again, someone may say, then people will become disappointed. Seeing such high standards, will never be able to catch it. And that's why we have Acharya. Acharya has given us steps in between. Follow 4 regulative principles. Chant at least 16 rounds. Every time you see in initiations, it is specified at least. It's not that you 16 only. You should chant only 16 rounds. Does any spiritual master say that? Did Srila Prabhupada ever say that? You should chant only 16 rounds every day? No, at least. So this is in between steps. Follow 4 regulative principles. But what is where should we come? Kamasya nendriya pritir labho jiveta yavata jivasya tattva jignasa. We should come to this standard. That is there in Bhagavatam. How Acharya will say something, how he will negate or how he will trespass what is said in Bhagavatam. Will he do that? No. But he's giving you, okay, and just like if you have to cross a small brook, you're not able to cover the distance in one jump. So you keep a stone in between, like a brick, right? You take one step on the brick and then you are easily you're able to jump across like that. So the Acharya gives you some intermediate steps to help you reach that goal eventually. Now you shouldn't say this intermediate goal, this itself is the goal. The other goal is not practical and we cannot follow. That becomes an offense. So yes, that is the standard. Austerities. So let's go back to the purport. So we should eat. Prabhupada is talking about eating frugally. We should eat frugally. So how the purport started that overeating causes diabetes, undereating causes tuberculosis, and we should neither aspire to become diabetic nor tubercular. Rather, we should eat frugally, right? On the lower side, it's better to eat a little less. Eat sufficiently, but you can cut down a little bit. That's the point. We should eat frugally and keep the body fit for advancing in Krishna consciousness. Actually, eating frugally does not necessarily mean eat less. Actually, eat the right foods. Eat the right foods. Eat simple foods and right foods. Eating rich foods, and even rich foods also, processed foods, they will kill your health. Things which are packaged in stores, that shouldn't be eaten. You get, as far as possible, get the ingredients as they come in nature. Even your, spices, everything, just get the whole seeds and you grind yourself. You make your own masalas, your own pastes, grains also. Try to get unpolished. As much as, it is not, what do you say, where man didn't, not man, but, where processing didn't happen. Cheese you want to make cheese, make paneer. And milk also. Best is if you can get, I don't know if it's possible there, and I know it's also very costly to get. That's why we need, artificially they have made cost of living so high. You're not allowed to keep cows. And then if you're not allowed to keep cows, how you'll have your milk? Then when you go for fresh milk, you want to go and see while the cow is being milked and get that milk, then it's like the prices are skyrocketing. You cannot afford it. But if we had our own community, then we can have our Goshala, and devotees, they go and they milk the cows. We can live the way Shastra is guiding us. We can live like that. Grihasthas will have to do that. Grihasthas will have to come together and do that. As far as milk is concerned, But even otherwise, in the present situation, do the best you can as far as possible with this mindset. Eat right food. Eat frugally also means eat simple foods where there is not too much, of where you don't need so many ingredients which are made elsewhere and packaged elsewhere. No need. You can cook simple. Ginger, chili, jeera, haldi, salt, sufficient. Actually, this is sufficient. I've been cooking with only these spices for the past 7-8 months. Salt, black salt, haldi, and ginger, black pepper. Ginger and black pepper, not ginger, jeera and black pepper mix करके आप powder बना लीजिए. So that's your spice if you need on your vegetables. But this is possible, when for yourself you can do all this, but when there is other family members,
I was going to say that, Mataji.
yeah, then you have to. Yeah, I know. I've seen that also. Like my kids are here now, and then it is not as strict as it used to be before they came. So now some things have to be made here and there, and I know, so I understand that. But still, the principle is there. Do the best we can. That's all. We can try to do the best and keep the standard in mind, and wherever possible we will try to do it. And when we fall, we will once again, seeing the goal, pick ourselves up, like when you learn bicycle, right? You fall down and then you once again try and try and try until one day you're confident and you don't fall down like that. So I was saying about eating frugally, it's not just about reducing the quantity of food that you eat. It is also about the type of food that you eat, the quality of food. Eat more and more fresh foods every day. You should take some fresh fruits, fresh foods. It does not have to be fancy, costly fruits, but take fruits which are available, especially first thing in the morning. It is first thing in the morning doesn't mean early in the morning. Your breakfast, whenever you take it at 9, 9:30, whatever, suggested is you take fruits. And actually, they suggest just eat fruits for breakfast, only fruits. And not just one kind of fruit, you should mix 2 to 3 types of fruits. Take 2 to 3 types of fruits, not 2 to 3, minimum 3, and even more varieties, no problem. Whatever seasonal fruits you are getting, and how much you should eat. So I'm saying, if you eat this, you won't feel weak. So it's not like you're starving yourself. So I'm telling you from Ayurvedic recommendation. Whatever is your body weight, 10% of your weight, that many grams. For example, so this is in kilograms. So if you're calculating in pounds, translate it to kilograms. So if your body weight is 50 kg, let's say, then 10% of 50 kg is what? 500 grams. 500 grams. 10% of 50 is, yes, 500 grams. So if you eat 50 kilos, if your body weight is 50 kilos, if you ate half kg fruits in the morning, you're good for the morning. You don't need anything else. But you have to eat a mix of, at least 3 types of fruits, not just one. The whole idea is you get the nutrients, the supplements, nutrients, whatever you need from foods directly, not from supplements. Don't take calcium, Don't take vitamin D or other things, even your vitamins separately. These things are what are actually ruining your body, your health. Get whatever you need from foods. And then they will say, but how much iron can you get simply by eating spinach? You need to have a balanced diet. It will pick up. For sure, it will pick up. So morning, you eat fruits. Then for lunch, you eat vegetables. What type of vegetables? All types of vegetables you eat. No problem. Carrots, beetroots, celery, and also other vegetables. Whatever vegetables, any kheera, cucumber, tomatoes, whatever you are able to eat. Again, 10%. That means 500. If you are 50 kilos, then 500 grams of vegetables. Why? There also you have to take at least 3. Because from each vegetable, you are getting a certain type of nutrient, minerals, vitamins. You don't get from same vegetable, you don't get everything. That is why you have to eat all different varieties. हमारे घरों में एक और चीज होती है, this happens that they bring the same vegetable all the time because they like it. Always get cauliflower and potatoes. That's not healthy. You should eat a variety of vegetables. You should eat all different types of vegetables. Imagine every day 3 types of vegetables. But again, now the question comes, these all come so costly, Mataji. When you have to buy fresh, they come so costly. Yes, that's why I'm saying this is supposed to be natural, simple. You can just grow in your own backyard. You put some vines, they keep coming again and again and again. Tomatoes you put, lauki you put, they keep coming. But now you cannot do that. And when you go to buy fresh, it comes costly. So you look for something which is, where you can manage with less. So artificially, we are made to work so much and our health is deteriorating with this type of lifestyle. Everybody has, by this time we have knee pains and back pains, whatnot, diabetes, blood pressure, heart problems, this problem, that problem. Because the diet is also not good, and then the exercise. No exercise. Wherever we go, we just drive in cars, come. So our bodies are really being, this system, this current system of lifestyle is simply spoiling the bodies. This is not the system created by Krishna. So eating frugally means, I was saying, it's not just about the quantity, but it is also about what kind of foods you eat. Even when you eat grains, they suggest first you eat, so this is the diet, Ayurvedic diet. So throughout the day, like morning you eat fruits, afternoon you eat vegetables, evening you eat nuts. Nuts also soaked, you should eat nuts. And if you get hungry, if you get hungry in the evening, you can eat fruits again. And then dinner will be at sunset. After sunset, you shouldn't eat, they say. So at sunset, you eat, again you eat vegetables, like salads. Little bit, like, not as much as you ate in the morning. If you ate 10% in the morning, now you eat 5% because you have a desire to eat cooked food also. So after you eat your 5% of vegetables, now you eat the remaining space, whatever is there, you eat cooked food. Sufficient. If you follow this type of diet, your body will be fit. And along with this, you should, and where do you get so you'll get your vitamins and all through these foods. That's why 3 types of fruits, 3 types of vegetables, and even the grain that you eat millets. like that. You may think, oh, this is so austere. Kamasya nendriya pritir, labho jiveta yavata, jivasya tattva jignasa. Of course, Srila Prabhupada also says in, if you don't get all these things, then eat simple. Whatever you're eating, eat khichdi. Throw whatever vegetables you have, rice, dal, and eat khichdi. That is simple. Reduce the quantity. Yeah, when you eat fruits and vegetables, you can eat as much as you like. There's no problem. That 500 grams is minimum so that you get that nourishment. But if you feel like eating more, you can eat as much as you like. No problem. But when you're eating rice, dal, sabji, then you have to watch your amount. Especially if you're eating rich foods, right? Fried foods and all that. Then. And that also once in a while, no problem. Like you have, festival days, those days we eat. But on a regular day, it should be simple. But I cook kind of rich all the time. Not good. It's not good. It's like, because I was cooking Raj Bhog for the deities in New Vrindavan. So it's always about making more items and making, Anyway, so here Srila Prabhupada is talking about frugally eating because that will help. So you understand the idea now, why we have to eat frugal? To control the senses. The senses will be controlled by that. Of course, for the deities, you want to cook. Another point, you cook nicely for the deities, but you distribute that prasadam. Distribute it. Don't eat it yourself. Give it to the neighbors, they say. I heard in a lecture, distribute it to others. So you feed the deities nicely, and then that means this will help you in your progress in Krishna consciousness. Cook nicely for Krishna, but distribute that to others. And you eat simple. You eat simple. To control, to make progress in spiritual life. Huh? We should eat frugally and keep the body fit for advancing in Krishna consciousness, as recommended elsewhere in Srimad Bhagavatam. So we read this. Kamasya nendriya pritir labho jiveta yavata jivasya tattva jignasa nartho yasceha karma bihi. This life is meant for tattva jigyasa. Life is not meant for earning artha by doing karma. Very important point. That's the whole thing we are reading about here. This life is not meant for doing karma so that you can earn artha. Life is meant for what? Tattva jigyasa. The real business of human life is to keep oneself fit for advancement in spiritual life. So the center is spiritual realization. So then you work, you eat only that much as it is required to keep yourself fit for advancing in spiritual realization. Don't work more. Don't earn more. And don't spend or eat more than what is needed to keep yourself fit. So save all that time and energy for spiritual realization. Human life is not meant for making the senses unnecessarily strong. So when you eat, that's why I told you the link between eating and sense control and prana, and then, spiritual advancement. So human life is not meant for making the senses unnecessarily strong. Whatever you eat, if you eat, then your senses will become strong. You eat more, you eat rich foods, then there is sex appetite also. So many other things will come. So eating is important. Human life is not meant for making the senses unnecessarily strong so that one suffers from diseases and one increases in an envious fighting spirit. See? So first for the senses, senses become strong by eating. Then by eating, when the senses become strong, you want to satisfy those senses. So to satisfy those senses, now you'll earn. And when you earn, you have to compete. You become envious of others. You are in a fighting spirit. And then when you satisfy your senses indiscriminately, then you'll fall sick. You'll become a victim of diseases. In this age of Kali, however, human civilization is so misled. See? Human civilization is so misled that people are unnecessarily increasing in economic development. And Srila Prabhupada said this when? In the 1970s. Now we are in 2020s. We know how drastically things have changed. In this age of Kali, however, human civilization is so misled that people are unnecessarily increasing in economic development. And as a result, they are opening more and more slaughterhouses, liquor shops, and brothels. In this way, the whole civilization is being spoiled. So what was today's message? Being poor is good. Because being poor means always hungry. Then even though a poor man desires, but he cannot fulfill those desires. Therefore, his senses gradually become weak, and by that he will not engage in violent activities, envious activities towards other living entities. That is said in the shloka. So, practically, how you apply this shloka? So, for spiritual advancement, you must voluntarily accept austerities. Here specifically, we are talking about a poor man's being hungry all the time. That's why Srila Prabhupada is saying, when you overeat, you get diabetes. When you undereat, you get tuberculosis. We don't want to overeat. We don't want to undereat. But it is better to eat a little less. Eat frugally. Why? So that you can keep your body fit for Krishna consciousness. But again, as we discussed also, in this Kali Yuga, the human civilization is misled. The whole system is made in such a way that if you wanted to live like this, you will have to spend a fortune. It's easier to eat unhealthy stuff. But that's why this shloka is quoted. What is the purpose of life? Simply saving money for the future, thinking that it will help me, in my retirement. That's not the purpose of life. See the last line. Nartho yascheha karma bihi. This life is not meant for doing karma and then earn wealth. And then with that wealth, I will, just save that wealth. No. That's not the purpose of life. Purpose of life is tattva jigyasa. So we should see by my lifestyle, because we are families, by our family lifestyle, by this lifestyle, are we progressing towards this goal, tattva jigyasa? If we are not, then some changes have to be made. We have to simplify. Or at least we should start thinking in those lines. Okay, it's already way past time, but I told you yesterday that I want to finish that Bhagavad Gita. I don't know for how many days we've been doing that 15 chapter text 3 and 4. We finished reading the purport and discussion also we finished. I just wanted to, although I did discuss yesterday, there are two main points there. One is detachment. With the weapon of detachment, you have to cut the root. And the second thing is you have to surrender at the lotus feet of the Lord. And I told you this surrender, without surrender, you cannot realize the absolute truth. Absolute truth, either whether as Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagavan, if you want to realize the absolute truth, you have to surrender. In Jnana Yoga, the surrender happens at the end. In Ashtanga Yoga, the surrender happens in the middle. And in Bhakti Yoga, the surrender happens in the beginning. But without surrender, you cannot realize the absolute truth. That is the main point I wanted to tell you. And we started reading yesterday, but there's some more points. So Krishna is telling Arjun that O Arjun, using the weapon of asangam, means detachment, cut this tree of samsara and then you surrender to me. Only when one surrenders to the Lord will he not return to material existence again. So that surrender is important. So then how Jnanis surrender? Jnanis also have to surrender to Bhagavan. They have to surrender to Bhagavan. What is that? They have to do bhakti, direct devotional service they have to do. That's when they will get Brahma Prapti. So Sattva Guna gives liberation from body, no doubt. But so from our transcendental diagram, you remember, by doing Nishkama Karma Yoga, one comes to Sattva Guna and he realizes I'm not this body, I am soul. So Sattva Guna gives liberation from body. But to make it permanent, that means that liberation from body, to make it permanent, one has to surrender to the Lord. Simply Nishkama Karma Yoga is not sufficient. It's not sufficient. You can fall down at any time. So to make that liberation permanent, one has to surrender to Bhagavan. Only then there is no return. Then in case of devotee, Sharanagati is at the beginning itself. Yes, Dridha Shraddha symptom is Sharanagati. Bhaktas surrender at the beginning. What are the steps? First, he'll get this Dridha Shraddha. I will do direct devotional service. I am cutting and giving up all designations coming from this body. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam. All this happens in Dridha Shraddha itself. When you get Dridha Shraddha means no more designations from body, no identifying with this body. Now I am taking shelter at your lotus feet and I will do only your bhajan. All this is Dridha Shraddha. When you get Dridha Shraddha, these three steps are happening. Then he starts bhajan. Now he surrenders to the Lord. So this surrender is happening in the beginning itself. Then after that, once he surrenders, what will he do? He'll do 24-hour bhajan, direct devotional service. Then by that, anarthas are removed and destroyed. Then he'll get nishtha, he'll get ruchi, then asakti, and then he'll get bhava and prema by the Lord's mercy. So this is how one progresses in bhakti. How did it start? By surrendering in the beginning itself. Okay. After one fully surrenders, so now the same thing is explained. Those who are not fully surrendered cannot do Shuddha Bhakti. This is because there is space for other things. So fully surrendered means no identifying with anything else. No bodily designations. That is full surrender. But if you are not fully surrendered, we will still have space for other things. Or my family, my body, my material goals, so many things. This is because there is space for other things which are not directly bhakti in their heart. That means they are not fully surrendered. Their bhakti is not Shuddha Bhakti, it is mixed bhakti. Shuddha Bhakti begins with Purna Sharanagati, not with little Sharanagati. To do Shuddha Bhakti, our first endeavor should be to get Dridha Vishwasam, Dridha Shraddha. So how to get? Pray to the Lord, please give me more and more. Again, please pray according to your stage of realization. This is not forced, but this is how Kunti Maharani prays. Please give me more and more pains to test my surrender to you. So this is how the devotee will pray. After the Lord, ask the Lord for pains. By the way, this is what His Grace Venugopal Prabhu is teaching, my teacher. So I just took notes. So he's saying you pray to the Lord, asking him for pains. Ask the Lord for pains. Then you will know if you have surrendered. So if you have surrendered means you'll be able to pray to the Lord. Give me pains, right? Whatever pains, any type of pains. Then you'll know if you have surrendered to Bhagavan. Or you're surrendered to things other than Bhagavan, right? If I still have place for husband, wife, children, mother, etc., then it is not Shuddha Bhakti. It is not Shuddha Bhakti. You will say, no, but they are also devotees. Then why Kunti Maharani is saying, break my ties from my father's side, my mother's side, and my husband's side. All father's side, husband's side, everyone is devotee, all pure devotees. Why is she saying break my ties? Are our family members like Kunti Maharani's family members? Her children are the Pandavas, associates of Krishna. Her husband is Pandu Maharaj. Her brother is Vasudev, the father of Krishna. Then why is she saying? She belongs to the Yadu dynasty, the family of devotees of Krishna. Even Pandavas. Still she's saying, break my ties. Because our tie will be based on that bodily relationship. We are attached to that bodily relationship. You are not attached to that person because that person is a devotee of Krishna. You are attached to that person because of your relation, bodily relation. And that is an obstacle to surrender. So she's saying, cut my attachment to my family members. She's not saying, cut my attachment to Arjun and Bhima. She's saying, cut my attachment to that relationship, bodily relationship. This is my son. This is my child. This is my husband. This is my mother, my brother, my family. This. It's there. It won't go away so easily. And when that goes away, that's when we surrender. It will be tested, of course. When difficult time comes, we will see it is there. So, it will go away when we receive mercy of a pure devotee. And by that mercy, when we get Dridha Shraddha, by hearing, when we get firm faith in Krishna, and we are able to take full shelter of Krishna alone. It doesn't mean you don't love, you love people. But the center will be Krishna. You will see them in relation to Krishna, not in relation to your body. That's the point. Long ways to go. For me, certainly. So if I think without money, how will I do bhakti? That means I'm not fully surrendered. So just, seeing where we are, how surrendered we are. These are some tests we can do, right? If I'm thinking, if I don't have money, how I'll do bhakti? That means I'm not surrendered. 1 in a billion, you'll find such a surrendered devotee. So don't feel sad that, oh, I'm not a pure devotee, I'm not surrendered. It's not easy to be a pure devotee and a fully surrendered devotee. 1 in a billion, maybe you'll find one. It's not a cheap thing. Okay, that's it. Doing bhakti for some time of the day, right? When you say bhakti, bhakti means sakshat bhakti. Doing sakshat bhakti for some time in the day is mixed bhakti. Okay, I will give you a solution also. I won't leave you with disappointment that, oh, we are not pure devotees. Yes, it's a fact. We are not pure devotees. But I'll give you a Dhruv Maharaj's prayers, from Dhruv Maharaj's prayers. Try to keep your senses in the fire of direct devotional service. Make this effort as much as possible. Then your body will become transcendentalized. Your senses will be transcendentalized. You'll come to pure devotional platform. Just try. Either engage your ears in hearing, your lips in chanting, or talking about Krishna, your mind in Also, mind is also one of the senses. Your mind in remembering whatever was discussed in class, or if you are memorizing some verses, recollecting, or if you have memorized some prayers, or even if you have not memorized prayers, just remember whatever you have discussed. This is an exercise for the mind, for the intelligence. This is called mananam, contemplation, that will engage your intelligence, your mind. So the more you engage your senses in direct devotional service, direct devotional, cooking, cleaning for the deity, for the deity, for the Lord. So the more you do this, you are working your way towards that. It may not be possible to engage all the senses all the time, but just remind yourself to do and catch yourself when you're going away here and there, right? Getting distracted by some news or by some shopping or some gossip or something. Catch yourself and bring it back to just, if you're able to read, very good. If you're not able to read, listen, but listen like that. Okay? That's the way to. So there's no need to be disappointed, but at least we have to make an effort to show Krishna that we are trying. Ye yathamam prapadyante tam tataiva bhajamyaham. Krishna says he reciprocates according to how we approach him. Then tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam. If you keep trying like this, then dadami buddhi yogam tam. I will give the intelligence by which he can come to me, Krishna is saying. So we are not alone. Don't feel disheartened. In fact, you should feel enthusiastic, right? You should feel enthusiastic. Whatever time we have, use it. Jo beet gaya, whatever is gone, learn lessons from that. But what you have in your hand is today, now. So this time, use it in direct devotional service. Either hearing, chanting. Yes. So on that note, we will end here. All of you have today is the Rath Yatra in New Vrindavan. And I have maybe somewhere else also. This is the Rath Yatra season. So wish you all a happy weekend in Krishna consciousness. I will see. Most probably we will have class tomorrow also. But if we don't have, I will send a message. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। वांछा
कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। थैंक यू माताजी।